Good morning, guys. I hope you are doing well. It is Wednesday over here, and we are entering into the story of Samson. And Samson's an interesting character. Many people say he looks a lot like me. I'm just kidding, because he has hair. So I look like Samson when his strength was cut off, and who knows what happened to him then, right? But hey, this focus of this week really is on pride and the effects of it. All right, what comes from your pride? And I just want to give you kind of 2 points in here that I think we see in the story of Samson. That's a big deal. First of all, we see that pride causes us to lose sight of ourselves. See, here's what happens with pride: is that your head gets so big that all you can then see is that see as yourself and what it is that you're doing without seeing the bigger picture. What it is, when pride is in the way, what it often is like you just basically hold a mirror up in front of your face everywhere you go, so it looks like you are the one who does everything. I've told you the story before of when I was in high school and I helped start a ministry that was exploding, and I just got done preaching a sermon, and students were worshiping, hands in the air, all these teenagers from around the county, and I stood up on the stage and I said to myself, God, I bet you're pretty happy to have me on your team, aren't you? And that's pride, and was one of the worst mistakes I could ever make. And it was almost like God said, well, you think this is on you? Watch what happens. Well, we had an issue that happened with one of our leaders, and some other things happened where in 6 months it went from about 350 to 400 teenagers down to about 14 in 6 months. So pride can cause you to lose sight of yourself and begin to think that you are the strong one. You are the one that knows what's right. You begin to think that your will for your life is better than what God's will for your life is. We stop looking to the scriptures to speak into our decisions, and we start thinking that we know what's right, and then we just search to find something that agrees with what we're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what happens when pride gets in the way. This question: what are some areas of your life that you're consistently tempted to pursue your own desires and compromise? So, I mean, think about that. Like, for ourselves, what are some areas that we feel like we're pretty confident in ourselves, and it's easy for us to just compromise on what's important. Um, but not only that, we see that pride not only causes us to lose sight of ourselves, but it also causes us to lose sight. It causes us to use other people, right? Causes us to use other people. We see that he, in some ways, doesn't give any care for his parents. He literally allows his parents to be defiled from eating honey out of a dead animal. So you see, he just thinks he can have whatever woman he wants, not realizing that as a Nazarite, that he was separated for a reason, separated to be used for God. So so what happens is when we lose sight of ourselves, we begin to lose sight of what other people mean, and we tend to use them more as a commodity to help get what we need back to them, instead of we use people as a commodity instead of using them instead of coming alongside them. Sorry, I'm blanking this morning. So I think it's two things for us to focus on that we see in Samson's life: that pride causes us to lose sight of ourselves, and pride causes us to use other people. And I think there could be a good chance for us to be honest with ourselves among students, to see that, one, like, what are ways that we're tempted to allow ourselves to be prideful, and then how does that affect the way that we care for others? Ask those questions with our students. Let's be honest about those. But then finally, here's what I love to see, and we've seen this so many times already this year, that it was when Samson was weak, when he had no strength left, that he then finally turns to the Lord. Right? It's then that he lifts up his eyes to heaven and asks God for a little bit more strength, so that he might seek vengeance. I think it's so interesting that once again, it's through man's brokenness that God puts his own glory. He puts his glory on display, right? It's through man's brokenness. So, and it was also only when when Samson understood that he was weak, that he saw that he needed God. And this is true for our lives. When we see that we are weak, when we are broken people, that is the only time that we will turn to God. It's not when we think we have it all together. It's not when we think that we're strong. It's when we realize for the first time that we are weak. And it is in that moment that we are in the greatest position to be used for God's glory. So, hope that's helpful for you all. Look through this lesson. They got great questions, good probing questions for the students this week. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.